Namaskar. Today's wide angle with Ashok Vyas is going to be very special and very, very helpful. We all want our children to grow as healthy human beings, and the challenges that they are facing in the kind of upbringing that we as society are providing for them, how to address them. That challenge also sometimes is very, very attractive in the form of social media, or it could be in the form of the food that. We also tempt them to eat, whether we talk about junk food or the eating habits, or so all that, how a young pediatrician addresses and faces, we learn from someone who has agreed to join me and enlighten us. Dev Master joins us. Dev, welcome. Namaste.
Namaste. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
uh, you are not very very old in the profession, yet you have the experience of a couple of years in your pocket of dealing with kids as a physician. So when you interact them, how you um, you realize the impact of social media on children these days?
In my 10 years of pediatrics, I've really seen, and as being a young person as well, being 37 years young, I have seen social media, computers, the internet, grown up with it basically. My first book report was on a typewriter, and then slowly computers came into the mix. And social media has really been a large impact on children. Today, children grow up with social media and tablets and computers and YouTube and Netflix and Baby Shark and whatever else, from the second they're born. And it takes a big impact, on children, um, because it's a newer tool in human history. So, and it's a very flashy tool. It's very distracting to children because there's a lot of different things that can be seen. It does have its positives, it can be used for education, but that's more for the older child once they're in the school setting, and that too, it should be limited. And then, unfortunately, social media is extremely flashy especially with the shorter form content nowadays, with TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Snapchat. These are the ones that the younger kids, younger children, teenagers, young children lean towards that. And it's not always educational material. It can be also not age appropriate, and it can be distracting for their education and for in the family too, distracting within the family and with the parents and their structure.
So there are a couple of aspects related to the use of social media as we see it. One, as you mentioned, about distraction, and there is lack of consistency in terms of the flow of awareness, and ability to focus also is decreasing. Now that, as earlier we used to hear in terms of the experience of watching a movie, that you sit and then you have popcorn and things like that. So now this is a 24/7 movie, whether you have a lot of platforms that are also making it available on your phone, as you mentioned, all these social media. So in your understanding, how this in turn have its impact on the healthy growth of mind and body both, and what are the potential, if you call them illness prone symptoms that may emerge in children if they are addicted to social media?
Well, yeah, there's plenty both for mind and body. First of all, there when you're watching any screen, short, like whether it's a movie or YouTube, TikTok, whatever, the phone, you're sitting and you tend to sit for hours. People just scroll endlessly for hours and hours. So sitting is not very healthy for a healthy lifestyle. A lot of us nowadays sit for our work or for school. So then that just adds more to the sitting hours, which is increasing the obesity epidemic with just being sedentary. And it's not good for the child's growing mind as well, because often what they're watching is not educational. So, and there have been lots of studies done in teenagers and young children who watch screens that are non-educational, and then compared to their peers who don't watch screen time, that is uneducational, and their scholastic scores have been less, their reading scores, their math scores, their science scores all have been less. So it affects them in that way. And also, often children and teenagers especially are watching these screens at nighttime, and the screen emits a blue light which mimics sunrise, which then in our brain reduces melatonin, so we don't have as good sleep. And if children don't have good sleep, they don't their brain doesn't grow, they don't learn as well, and then they eat poorly because of the poor sleep, they're tired, so these are multiple mind and body issues all linked to social media and screen time.
So now the question comes what to do, because parents find it increasingly difficult. And I see even if the kid is 2 or 3 year old, he is given a tablet, iPad, or whatever, because and then he craves for it.
Yeah.
He's crying, and the young mother finds no other alternative to engage the mind of this child. So she feels this is the only thing left for us to stop the child from crying. What are the alternatives that you may suggest, and what can be done?
Yeah, I totally understand. I'm a parent of a 5.5-year-old, so I had to deal with the same things as well. So my main thing is there should be no screens from when the child is born till 2 years of age. We did that. We had no TV in our house until COVID happened when my daughter was 2.5 years old and we were stuck inside. And then I don't use the phone in front of my daughter. Now I do. Now she's a little bit older, but when we're doing family time or doing something together, my phone is not in sight. There's no TV on. There's no tablets on. So we have to lead by example for our children. So we didn't use screens. We didn't use our phone. Like my daughter, when she sees a phone, she just gives it back to me. And we always did high quality activities with my daughter. Like we had lots of arts and crafts, we had coloring, we had books to read together. We go outside, we go to parks, we go to museums, we go. Listen, you don't have to in New York City where we live, you don't have to spend money. You can go to a playground, you can go to a park. There's tons of activities to do. The libraries are full of activities nowadays compared to when I was a kid for children of all ages. So there is a lot of resources. It's just even the parents are stuck on the screen. So then the children mimic their parents. So I know it's hard. I have to reduce my screen time so it's better for my daughter. So those are some of the things I recommend.
I think what you said also puts a lot of responsibility on the shoulder of the parents. And so there's no easy way out, actually. If we need to take care of them, and which is our prime responsibility, then we need to take care of ourselves, our habit pattern also. Because as you said, the way they see, they learn, and then you have no authority left with you if you are constantly using phone to tell them that you don't use it. So what you said makes a lot of sense, and I see that this is very difficult. And for practical reasons also, sometimes some people do the kind of business where they think that every 20-30 minutes there's a call coming and they have to respond. So it is kind of a difficult way to find that balance, but nevertheless there is no alternative if we want our children to grow in a healthy fashion. And talking about health, we will talk about obesity also, but the kind of attention which they need to become good students, how social media is taking away that potential from kids. Is there any study done about how social media is impacting children's mind?
Yes, there's lots of studies done, especially for teenagers. And having social media is often a distraction while they're learning. And distracted learning leads to lower quality of learning, which also leads to them repeating, trying to learn the same thing, and also having poorer outcomes in their grades, in the tests and the quizzes and stuff. So social media is extremely distracting, and then also, social media has increased mental health issues. So, teenagers are at a tough time in their development. So, depression, anxiety, stress, whatever you want to call it, their mental health. If they look to social media, it's not always going to give them the right support. They need support from their peers. They need support from their teachers. They need support from their parents. And then if your mental health is not good as a teenager, you're not going to do good in school. You're not going to have a good relationship with your parents, with your family, with your fellow classmates.
So, for overall growth, the interpersonal relationships also makes a lot of difference. And let us request you to compare, go back 3 decades when you were 7, and look at the world in which children are growing nowadays. What is the basic difference that you observe, and also share something about things that you learned as child from your parents?
Yeah, my parents were always extremely involved with my life and giving me advice and then putting me in all different activities. I was in swimming, I was in taekwondo, I did kuman, you know, so many other summer activities like summer camps and different things. So, um, when I was a kid, there was no screens, none of this TikTok, none of this YouTube, no internet. Internet wasn't there yet. So there was a lot more human interaction, a lot more parental guidance, and then a lot more also interaction with other children of all different ages in whatever activities you were in, and getting um, interpersonal relationships and all these things, help us grow. Versus social media is not, it's in person, it's not personable, so it can't mimic a human connection. So that often is a false, it's not a real connection.
So, being a human means interacting with other human beings, and the kind of warmth and, if I say, affection and love also are important ingredients in our overall growth. So now, Dr. Dev, let us look at obesity, and this becomes a source of many other problems that one may come across in one's life if obesity becomes a part of the living. So, what causes obesity? Is it something to do with your DNA, the way you inherited, or your habit pattern?
Yeah, so obesity, there's no one cause. It's what we call multifactorial, meaning many different things influence it. Genetics can be a small portion of it, your environment, your lifestyle, your eating habits, your physical activity. So it's not necessarily one thing that dooms you to obesity. And honestly, obesity is rising. It is becoming almost, it is an epidemic amongst children and even adults. So, uh, and
Why?
often it is of the lifestyle, the eating habits, the screens, like we were talking, all of these things are contributing to this rise in obesity.
So let's quickly take a look at the potential problems that one may encounter in the form of disease which may sprung up because of obesity. What are those, especially from the point of view of children?
Yeah, so obesity leads to a lot of chronic diseases. And often obesity can start in childhood, but you won't always see the repercussions of these diseases because they will take decades to have their repercussions, their morbidity or mortality, as we call in medicine. So obesity leads to heart disease, high blood pressure, heart attacks, um, can lead to stroke. You can have higher cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, also something called NASH, which is a type of liver disease affected by having higher cholesterol. And honestly speaking, in my children, I am seeing increased incidences of what, like this NASH or fatty liver, already presenting in my teenagers. I have a couple of teenagers also presenting with as pre-diabetics. So a lot of these chronic diseases that are part of the obesity umbrella are starting as early as teenage years nowadays.
Um, Earlier, we used to think that, of course, now I'm taking you further, maybe 5 decades ago plus, when if a children would say that I have headache, they'll say, no, 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 children don't have headaches. Now we have seen that some children even have heart attacks. Is that right?
It's extremely rare for children to have heart attacks. I personally have never seen it. I think the youngest heart attack maybe has been in the 20s, but I mean, there's only been a very few cases because, again, these diseases that I talked about before take decades to take a toll on your body. You won't feel hypertension until you lose your eyes. You won't feel diabetes until you lose your extremities. So you won't feel high cholesterol until you have a stroke. So a lot of these diseases are very hard to feel. That's why it's very important to go to your doctor and have your annual checkup so that they can screen for all these different issues and help intervene, help you live a healthier lifestyle.
So now let's look at the way one may address obesity. As a parent, what would be your advice to parents? And also, children are very intelligent. I must also say we have talked about distraction, etc., and social media's impact, but I think they have very good grasp of overall situation, and if they are convinced, probably they are inclined to take the right steps, though it is challenging as it is for every individual. So talk to me about the proactive measures that one may take, as well as some if someone is already obese, what should they do?
Yeah, so even if somebody's obese or not obese, these are all healthy lifestyles we should live. And it's never, especially, it's never, you can always change your lifestyle and become healthier. So it's not like you're doomed. So there's a lot of things. You should do it as a family. Healthy parents will make healthier, like if parents have healthy habits, their children will follow as well. So we want to make sure that we get rid of all the junk food in our houses, especially the juices, sodas,
Wait,
bottled
wait a
drinks.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Many people think that soda is good, and even I have been in that impression. Another thing you talked about soda, so there is this zero calorie, zero sugar, those kind of sodas. Are they also equally bad?
Yes, I mean, yes. If you had to have soda in your life, a 0 calorie or no sugar soda is better than a sugar soda. Especially, we want to make steps in the positive direction. I don't want you to tomorrow cut out all your soda, cut out all your junk food because it might be hard for you. And then children and adults who fail at these steps, they then give everything up. So it should always be step by step. So if you already have sodas in your life and you can't get rid of them, switch to the 0 calorie or the no sugar. Maybe do that for a couple of weeks. And that's great. Good job. Now, next month, let's cut out the soda. So,
No, here
soda,
I want, yeah,
yeah.
here I want a little more clarification because I know some people who who switch to zero calorie soda, and they think that this is going to help them reduce their obesity, and it is a step forward which, if remains as their companion, there's no harm. In fact, this is the kind of step which they feel is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's very hard. It's not easy. So we have to take the positive steps where we can. But the end goal, we have to take small steps to a larger end goal. So the end goal would be to cut out all the soda. If one of the steps is switching from a sugar soda to a no sugar, and that gets you to your goal of getting rid of all soda, great. Do that. That's what I want. I don't want you to fail from going to soda to no soda, and then you fail, you feel bad, and you go back to soda. So again, no sugar soda is not healthy. There's not a single healthy component in it. It's all chemicals. If you need that carbonation feel, get some sparkling water. you know I love to drink like LaCroix, lime LaCroix. It has no sugar and it's bubbly just like soda. So do that. If that is what you need, do that. I want people to be healthy, but we got to do it step by step, because it's very hard tomorrow to cut out 100 things from your life. It's easier to cut out one thing slowly, slowly, and then you're healthier, and then you stick with it for the rest of your life versus failing tomorrow and you go back to all your bad habits.
Okay, so let's talk about the general. We sometimes put them in junk food or whatever. So there are multiple types of chips which are
Yes.
addictive. Once you start eating, you don't realize you have finished the whole packet. And then the other thing is, how do you rate pizza and burger or bagel, etc., from the point of view of taking care of obesity?
Yeah. So the fast foods like the McDonald's, the Burger King, the Wendy's, the Shake Shack, all of those things, pizza, bagels, yeah, they're all unhealthy. But what I recommend is don't have it every day, don't have it every week. Choose one to have every month, you know, and you can have that. That's okay. If you want one or two slices of pizza in a month, that's fine. If that makes you happy and keeps you healthy for the rest of the month, do that. On a holiday like Eid just passed. Okay, enjoy your Eid, or your birthday just passed. Eat your cake on your birthday, no problem. But we got to be healthy. You can't have the pizza, you can't have the burger, the French fries every single day, every week. We
What
make it a
what should you
reward
eat?
once a month.
What should you eat regularly?
Yeah, so we have to switch our diet. We need to eat less of the processed foods, less of the outside foods. If you can get home cooked meals, that's a better start. It's usually healthier. And on top of it, don't fry the food at home. And then increase your fruits and vegetable servings in your diet. The myplate.org, it has a great resource to show you what your plate should look like, with a combination fruits, vegetables, carbohydrates, which is like the grains family, and some protein as well.
So that is again myplate.org.
.gov, myplate.gov. Sorry.
.gov. Okay.
Yeah.
So there one can get better idea about
What your
what would
plate
be.
should look like, how it should look. Because when I was a kid, it was the food pyramid, which has totally been changed to the plate style. Yeah, myplate.gov. Yep.
Very good. So now, as we move towards the concluding part of our conversation, one, I know many parents would be scared listening to what you just told, and many kids may not like Dr. Dev questioning many of their habits. But I think, in overall large scheme, what you have said is very, very important and relevant. So, as if you, based on your experience, shares few tips how to implement what we just heard from you, and do you have any success stories, because there must have been kids who came to you and then after
Yeah.
interacting with you they changed their life pattern.
Yeah, so yes, I've had many successful kids change their lifestyle and their healthy habits. And the first step is you do it together as a family, as a team. If you do it together, it's easier for everybody. And the other thing is, don't buy the junk food and have it in your house. Because if you have the cookies and the chips And if you're hungry, you're going to pick that. Versus if you don't have it, you're going to have fruits and you're going to pick the fruit instead of the cookies and the chips because you don't have it in your house. That's what I do in my house. I don't keep the cookies, I don't keep the chips, I don't keep the ice cream because I know my daughter will eat it, but I will eat more of it. So I'm also a human that loves junk food, and we don't buy it in the house, so we don't eat it. When we go outside for a party, maybe we'll have a little bit, or on a birthday, we'll get a cake. But otherwise, we try to buy no junk food in the house and then do physical activity together as a family. Like go take a walk every day, or go to the playground with your child and walk with them or try to do something at the same time. My father, when I used to swim in the mornings, he would go to the gym at the same time. He was already up and I was swimming for 2 hours. He'd go to the gym. So do some physical activity as a family, eat healthy as a family, cook together healthily as a family. And that's a great start to a healthy lifestyle.
So on that great start, which is actually the concluding part of this conversation, but this opens up lots of inspiring ways to lead a healthy life. And what we talked is relevant for one and all, not just for kids. But indeed, as parents, we have additional responsibility because, as they say, what they see, they learn. So we need to be example. And as Mahatma Gandhi's quotation I'm reminded of, be the change that you want to see in the world, and our world is our family. So thank you very much. They will have probably more conversation with a little bit more specifics in bringing healthy children, and which is
Of
good
course.
for that family as well as for us as human family. So with lots of thanks to you and lots of good wishes for you as well as for our viewers.
Thank you so much. Good wishes for you too. Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak.
I appreciate that.